When you get your income, when I have it, the first thing I do is I save. So it is been said that you should, it's like a 50-30-20 plan. 50% should go to your needs. So 50% of your income, budget planning for your needs, then 30% should go for your wants. So you just want to have fun, you just want to get something for yourself, you should even plan for that.
Hi, friends. My name is Sola Adesakin. I'm the founder and the lead coach of the Smart Stewards, and of course, the host of Safe Money Conversations. Sola Adesakin and friends experiences a no judgment zone where we talk about everything finances. Today, I have these beautiful ladies with me in the studio, and I really look forward to having an amazing conversation with them. To my left, I have Bukonla Asere. She's a wife, mother, and entrepreneur, and she's very particular about early years learning. So she has an educational resource center. Welcome, Bukonla. And of course, I have my beautiful Olubunmi Samuel-Adeyemi. Olubunmi is a money therapist who helps business and career professionals tidy up their personal finances. Welcome to the studio with me today. So today we'll be talking about a very important topic that people do not like to talk about. You know, when people hear the word budget or budgeting, they cringe like, oh, don't talk to me about budgeting. But it's something in the world of personal finance that is a must do. It is sacrosanct. So, look at me. I know you're a money therapist and you must have had these money conversations many times with loads and loads of people, men and women inclusive. In a very practical way, why do you think it is important to budget?
Thank you. Budgeting is important because that's the only way you can accomplish your goals. If you decide that you want to do something and you haven't thought through what the goal is, how you want to accomplish it, where the finances will come from, how to ensure that you stay on track even after you have created a money plan, then that goal would not be achieved. So budgeting is very important so that you can achieve the goals that you have set for yourself.
Thank you. So I remember an experience, I think it happened about 5 years ago. I was in the US with my husband, and on that particular day, we were going to go out of state from New York to, I think, New Jersey. And that day, my phone contract expired. And usually, each time I was driving or my husband, we would always rely on our navigator on the phone, you know, the maps. So that day we just felt like, no, but we've gone to this place a couple of times. We should be able to, you know, find our way. So we set out and, you know, one of those days that you have some tiny misunderstanding. So we were not really talking and communicating. Alas, all the roads started to look alike. Our appointment was for a particular time and we kept going back and back. And then the annoying thing was that we were paying tolls. And you know, when you're not talking, you're like, ah. So nobody could blame the other person. It was a very, very, you know, stiff atmosphere. At the end of the day, we got to our appointment, you know, 2 hours later than scheduled. And I like to teach people from that experience that a budget is like a navigator for you. If you are going somewhere, you don't know your way there, you should have like a guide or map. So that what you said, you know, reminded me of that experience. A lot of people go around in cycles with their finances because they do not have a plan. If you don't have a plan, you don't even have an idea of where you're coming from, not to talk of where you're going. You know, so thank you Bumi, for reminding me of that experience. Money plan, that's what a budget is. So Bukola, now that you know we have established what a budget is, practically, how do you budget? How do you plan? Let's not use the word budget too much. How do you plan? How do you navigate your finances?
Personally, this is what I do. When you get your income, when I have it, the first thing I do is I save. So it is been said that you should, it's like a 50-30-20 plan. 50% should go to your needs. So 50% of your income, budget planning for your needs, then 30% should go for your wants. So you just want to have fun, you just want to get something for yourself, you should even plan for that. and then 20% should be for your savings.
10%. 10 is the last. 50. Also
50, 30, 20. However, I would say that out of that 20%, you can use 10% for investment. So that everything will not just be, people will just save, like piggy bank, put something there. You're not yielding interest. Nothing is coming out of it. So out of that 20%, you can even save 10% out of it, invest, and then you save 20%. So that is the way I just remove my savings first. Because if I don't do that, before you know it, hey, it's all gone. And then you should be intentional about staying to your budget. Like last month, I budgeted for my Wi-Fi, internet, and when the thing went off, people were just calling me. And I said, I'm not coming. I refuse to come online. However, but I had to do, but to me, it was like my punishment for not sticking to my budget, to my plan. So it is good to have, so that is what I do basically, my 50, 30, 20%.
All right, thank you. Amazing analysis. Yes, the 50, 30, 20 rule. But since we are ladies, we all know something that is very peculiar to ladies. You mentioned something about the 50% for needs. Now, let's dig a bit deeper into what needs are. I need something is a very common phrase amongst women. In fact, amongst everyone. So you have 5 pairs of shoes already, and then you have a conference coming up, a women conference, a chat conference, and you go like, I need a new pair of shoes. Does it happen with you? Oh, I need. So let's dig deeper, into this need thingy, talking about the 50%. I tell people there are 2 things: need to have, nice to have. What are needs? Let's even discuss in life. What are needs? So that we can help our audience see the need to change that phrase of I need. What exactly is a need? Olubunmi, let me ask you.
Okay, so here's what I think. You see, money conversations are really personal, right? It's really about what's most important to you. While somebody else might take a position and say, this thing is too expensive. It's too expensive to spend 300,000 naira on hair, for example. For the next person, it might be a need. So while it might be a nice to have for some other person, the next person derives her self-esteem, her confidence, her whatever it is from that at that time.
That's deep.
She might grow into another season in her life where, okay, I can get my confidence from somewhere else, possibly from what I know or from who I know God created me to be and not the way I look. But at that time, that is a need for her. And so I think that we shouldn't come up with a list of these are the needs of everybody. It should be for you personally. What are your own needs? And then what are the sacrifices you need to make to be able to, acquire these needs? If you decide that, just like the example I used, a 300K hair, 300K, in whatever currency hair is a need for you, then the sacrifices you will make to have that will be different from the sacrifices another person who doesn't think is a need will have to make. So just, get personal with your own money, basically, and decide what your own needs are, not what the next person says and needs.
That's deep. That's deep.
Can I add to that, please?
Sure.
Okay, for me, the need is what you can't do without. So that hair, if I can do without it, then it is not a need.
But let me quickly interrupt. As she was talking, I kind of looked at it from a different point of view. I'll give you an example. Somebody who has gone through bouts of chemotherapy loses her hair. Can we think about that? And she's bald. And then she's somebody who likes to derive confidence and self-esteem from her looks. For such a person, a wig might be a need. Even as much as I think, like you said, a need is something that you cannot do. I'll still talk about some, but let me allow you finish.
The example you gave, it's a two-way thing. There are some people, they just want to celebrate the fact that they are victors. They just gone through a phase and they came out victorious. And so in that way, I have someone who went through that phase, the chemo phase, and then she came out and the hair started coming in a very different way, not African kind of hair. So at first it was, but later she just had to embrace, and before you know it, you have friends around her cutting their hair just to make her feel Good. So people were like, okay, I'll cut my hair. So all of her will be on low cuts. So that is to her, the wig would have, she started with wig, but she was like, I cannot deal with this wig. And she stopped it.
Good one. So I think that even though Olubunmi has given us a very fantastic perspective, I think that there are some things that cut across when you talk about needs to have accommodation, especially if you have not built your own house. We know that rent or housing is a key budget item anywhere. If you don't have a house of your own, we all know that everybody has palpitations when it comes to paying rent at any levels. I mean, recently, let me just digress a bit. Somebody was telling me about some properties that was going for about 14 million per annum rent. I'm like, wow, levels. Let me leave that. So rent cuts across. I think that's a need that everybody has to consider. I think feeding is sacrosanct, especially if you're married, you have children. Even if you decide to go on a fast, you don't have money and you're not eating, your children won't walk up to you to say, Mom, Dad, we see you have been good parents. In the next few days, you're not going to be hungry. They won't do that. So I think feeding is key. Talking about needs. Remember, I'm trying to break down the 50%, that you gave us. I think also that school fees, if you're married, or even for you, some people are still going through some master's degree program or education. And I mean, school fees for your children. Your child's proprietress wouldn't say, you've been a good parent. The PT has decided that this year you wouldn't pay school fees. So those are some very important things, irrespective of where you are or whatever your money temperament or whatever your plans are. I think these three things and maybe some other ones cut across homes, water. What else? There's some basic things that that if you don't pay your electricity bill, they're going to cut you off. For some people, internet is a need because that's what they work with. So like you said, I like something that she said that it's individualized. But for me, home to home, person to person, some things are really basic that cut across. As we were talking, something interesting came to mind. It might not, really flow in the lines of budgeting, but how do friendships affect the way we spend money? How do friendships, budgeting is about planning, but some things disrupt our plans. Some things get us distracted. And I think that influences derail us sometimes. Influences like the kind of friends we keep. So whether positive or negative, Olubun, what do you think about your money tribe and your money vibes?
Okay, great question. Yes, like we started out talking about how finances are basically personal, but the truth is that we're a product of several influences, and so no matter how you look at it, somebody will be somewhere directly or indirectly influencing how you spend your own money. So here's what I'll say about that: identify people who can help you with your plan. Identify people who can encourage you to stick to your plan, but do not entirely leave the success of your plan to them. So, for example, family, we're very family oriented around here. So, if you have a family and they seem to be a great part of your life, then by all means try to get them in conversations around, this is my plan, this is how I plan to spend my money, this is where I need your input. But then let them know I will go on without you. Okay, so family is very important. Friends, like you mentioned, are very important. Identify those people who can help you. Invite them, for example, when you're going along to conferences, when you're reading a book, when you're watching some, program online that's going to help your financial life. By all means, get them along. But then do not hand over control to them, right? They're important, no doubt, but at the end of the day, it's still your life. It's still your own finances. It's still your own goals. So you're not going to get to a point in your life and then explain to life that you would have stuck to your plans, but then some other people came around. So please,
Good one. I think also that, yes, to a large extent, friends also influence. Some of the things I teach in recent times is having a money cycle is different from having a friendship cycle. Some friends may not necessarily be a part of your money cycle. You may be good friends, but when it comes to money issues, they are not interested. Yet you have people you talk about money with. They are not necessarily close friends, but you guys understand yourselves. So I think the influence, and then know the people, because talking about budgeting, extra curriculum issues, know the friends that are always around you. Ah, guy, have you seen the latest? Oh, have you heard? They just help you spend your money. You have to watch out for them so that, whatever would kind of derail your budget, you have to know your triggers. Let me take you back to your 50-30-20 rule. The reason a lot of people don't like to hear about budgeting is they think they're restricted. They think they can't do. Life is to be lived once. You only live once. That's what they call YOLO. So please let me enjoy myself. What is the place of occasional splurging? What is the position, or where's the place of you just, enjoying your money? You work so hard for it. What do you think, Bukonla?
Yes, that is why I said you have like that 30% for wants. So that is, I just want to, and then sometimes we don't spend so much in that want area. And so if you decide I want to spend that like 2 months at once, I think sometimes it's allowed. Sometimes even a whole nations that we over budget, we go above our budget sometimes. Sometimes it's allowed, maybe once a while, not every time. That is. So there are times you just look, you see a shoe and be like, wow, wow. And you go back to the place and be like, this shoe, wow, wow. And before you know, you bought it. And you know that shoe will rock very well until they start telling you to remove yourself.
Nice one. Something came to mind. Quality over quantity. I think also because budgeting is about spending, yes, income versus expenses, but focus more on the expense side. A lot of times we buy things that are substandard and we need to change them time and again. But if you buy things that are quality, you won't have to, spend again replacing them. Yes, good conversation. A question came to mind and I think I just, forgot it. But so 50-30-20, 50-30-20. I think the audience should take note of that. Plan for your needs, plan for your wants, and plan for savings and investments. Yes. Okay, good one. And of course, we know that the budget has two sides: your income, your expenses. On the income side, more often than not, don't stick to just one source of income. Try and make other sources of income so that, because truth be told, whether you make money or not, you have to spend money. Yeah. So the constant side, more often than not, is the expense side. So work on the income side so that you're not exasperated, so that you're able to meet up your needs. Any final words, Olubunmi?
So let me just add that people have this notion that a budget is restrictive, a budget is painful, a budget keeps you from. It doesn't have to be. Budgeting can be fun. Because at the end of the day, you are the one who created the budget, not the budget creating you, not the budget telling you what to do. So, first work at getting over that fear that this budget is meant to restrict me, right? A budget, just like you mentioned, has two sides. There's the income, there's the expenditure side. So do not run away from budgeting because you think, oh, it's going to reveal to me my flaws. Yes, it reveals to you your flaws, and then what happens? You try to cover them up. So as much as possible, do not be intimidated by the word budget. Sit down and find out, what do I need to live? What do I need basically to even stay alive in the first place? And then where will the money come from? Because that's another thing budgeting helps you to do. Forces you to think about how to source the money that you need to live. So get over the fear of budgeting.
Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. Bukonla, any last word?
Okay, I'll just say budget is a plan. So just make sure that you have a plan for yourself. Have target. Know the cost of things you're looking to target at, and then know your own income as well, so you'll be able to put everything in place.
Awesome. It's been an interesting conversation. I like the fact that you should see a budget as a plan, and then what applies to someone might not necessarily apply to the other people. And of course, splurge, of course, the 50-30-20 rule. Don't be too hard on yourself. When you make mistakes, go back to it, start all over again. But don't shy away from planning. You need to plan because, I mean, you just realize that you're 20, you're 30, you're 40, you're 70, and then you're gone. It's better to have a plan so that you would live a what wild life, you know. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for listening to this episode of Safe Money Conversations. Remember, we don't judge here. We share our experiences and then we just encourage one another to be better people. See you on another episode soon. Keep growing.